Israel is a recent country. Formed after the Second World War in territory previously called Palestine, the State of Israel was born in 1948. An intersecting point between Europe, Asia and Africa, Israel has witnessed some of the key moments in the history of mankind. These biblical lands were the birthplace of the three great monotheist religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam. But despite the current apparently endemic violence between men in these parts, here nature conservation is not a vain term. In the inhospitable mountains of Judea and in the heart of the Negev desert, where the mythical Lawrence of Arabia lived and fought, it is possible to see numerous herds of wild goats or Capra ibex, to give them their more scientific name. Here they graze peacefully, in groups of either males or of females with their young. Only in the rutting season do the herds of both sexes approach each other, when the males fight in ritualized combat, butting one another with their powerful horns. It is to the victorious he-goats that falls the supreme mission of impregnating the females of the vanquished group, and thus siring a new generation. These gregarious animals are well adapted to the wild terrain. The sparse vegetation appears to be sufficient, and with the absence of large natural predators, the wild goats prosper in the protected areas of Israel. All these rocky heights, these marvelous mountains, are situated in the neighborhood of the Dead Sea, a gigantic natural lake which marks the border between Israel and Jordan. It possesses the most saline water in the world, and at 400 meters, it is the deepest inland lake on Earth. Despite the desolation of the countryside, these lands have been occupied since time immemorial. And nearby, in the Timna Nature Park, we can still find the remains of old mines worked by the Romans, and caves with wall paintings where archaeologists have discovered Paleolithic artifacts. Over these crags and through these ravines, along the deep valleys of Timna, passed Amorites and Canaanites, Hebrews and Egyptians, Assyrians and Arabs. An infinity of peoples and cultures, all of which have left their mark. Eilat is a city situated right in the south of Israel, on the banks of the Red Sea. It's a tourist paradise because the temperatures are mild and the sun always shines here. But it is more than this. Eilat is also a place of worship and reverence for lovers of wildlife. Nature has endowed this region lavishly. On one side, the mountains, very beautiful. On the other, the sea. And always the glorious sun, which stains the sky red during the magnificent sunsets. The Bay of Eilat boasts many attractions. The extensive sands, scattered with lone palm trees, are very inviting. Sea bathes, walks along the beach, fishing, nautical sports, served by a comprehensive recreation port, these are just some of the activities you can enjoy here. But the main attraction is not on land. In the clear waters of the bay, during hundreds of years, there has formed a barrier of coral, which shelters an infinity of fishes. And this marvelous world, carefully conserved, has been made available to the eyes of the inquisitive tourist. All you have to do is to visit the Coral World Underwater Observatory. Here in the interior of this enormous tower, which rises up from the bay, visitors can descend to a depth of 6 meters below sea level. And through 21 glass panels, they can admire all the beauty of the natural corals of the Red Sea. With a little luck and time, they may well be able to capture some unique images. And as the tower is circular, the underwater landscape is varied. Vividly colored corals, serpentine seaweed, and an enormous variety of fish which in this wild habitat seek food and shelter, all immediately in front of your eyes. But the coral world has other marvels to offer the visitor. In a 20-meter diameter tank, the Israeli authorities have recreated a real reef, a living reef made out of coral fossils. And as happens in the natural environment, this reef shelters a great number of other creatures. Dozens of fish of various sizes and colors have been introduced here. To prevent things going wrong and to maintain the reef in top condition, the aquarium receives day and night a continuous supply of fresh water taken directly from the Red Sea. Next door, another surprise, a huge pool containing various types of sharks. Separated from the visitor only by a sheet of glass, the great sharks swim slowly around with an inoffensive air in the sun-bathed water, an arm's length away, as if they were right in front of us in their own habitat. To film these images, the team dived into the pool right in the midst of the fearful sharks. The minutes ticked by while the sharks passed only a few centimeters from the camera operator and the assistants carrying the lighting gear. But although some of them are quite large, about 3 meters, the most aggressive are the ones that swim near the bottom, such as the spotted lemon shark. These had to be driven away by the pool keeper or by the film crew. The turtles, too, have the right to their own home. They are huge animals that can never be kept in a normal aquarium, but in this Red Sea tank they appear to be quite comfortable. Visiting the depths inside a little yellow submarine is another possibility for those who want to learn more about the richness and variety of these waters. The submarine moves slowly, and through the portholes the passengers can appreciate the beauty of a preserved ecosystem, as if they were actually diving themselves in this crystal clear sea. and with the added advantage of being completely dry at the end of the day. Here it is possible to observe one of the inhabitants of this sea, the turtle. This creature, named the hawksbill turtle because of its pointed mouth, was hunted almost to extinction because of the ornaments that used to be made from its shell. From combs to pipes, from spoons to furniture, everything was made out of the slabs of shell, and they were greatly appreciated. Only a strict prohibition has managed to avoid the worst, and today the world population of turtles is slowly increasing, to the approval of the tourists and the profit of the tourist agents. The corals of the region can also be visited in this way, in the dry and at a distance, as can some of the larger fishes of the Red Sea, such as the lunar tail grouper. Dry warmth of air conditioning and in the safety provided by the plexiglass portholes, we can see the beautiful yet poisonous lionfish and the dangerous scorpionfish and Indian walker fish. Here, inside, we cannot be harmed in any way. The safety of the tourist is paramount. But what about natural sensations? Those we seek in the roller coaster and fun fairs. The parrotfish still feed on the corals, indifferent to the steel monster, a Jules Verne nautilus. And their excrement still creates the much appreciated white sand of the coralline beaches, on which the bathing beauties lie sunbathing. those who desire to escape the safety of the metal walls of the submarine can do just that. And then, following the local regulations and hiring an experienced dive master, they can dive in the clear waters of the Red Sea. These restrictions are to prevent people succumbing to the anti-ecological temptations of touching the corals or collecting things like shells or other living creatures. By principle, diving is done in a group, and the sensation of falling down through this immense sea between corals and brightly colored fish is almost impossible to describe. It's as if we were in another world, in an imponderable universe without smells, but peopled by strange and beautiful creatures who emerge from the blue depths. As the diving zone within the Islet Coral Reserve coincides with that of the submarine, it is not difficult for us to encounter our friends the turtles here. But now, close to nature, it is easier to make a more realistic contact without, however, allowing us to do anything that might alter their behavior, such as feeding, or as used to occur by hitching lifts on their backs. The byword now is "don't interfere." There are several different well-defined diving spots, and they can have quite evocative names, such as the Japanese Gardens, of this one, Moses Rock. It is one of the most popular locations because in its little caves it can shelter the exquisite soft corals with their bright red and pink colorings, contrasting with the clear blue of the nowadays almost completely unpolluted waters. The fact is that the Israelis have understood that they can make much more money from the tourist explorations these waters can offer than from heavy or polluting industries. In the rock fissures live spotted coral groupers with their bright red bodies speckled with fluorescent blue spots, and huge shoals of silver sides which feed the ever-present lionfish. Here the only souvenirs are the unforgettable memories, or the photographs that the more advanced photographers take back with them to be seen by millions. It would be almost impossible to explain in any other way to the land lovers the unforgettable experience of diving in the Red Sea. At night, after conforming to the military-style formalities that such a sensitive zone demands, a dive in these waters, now as black as pitch, can reveal new fishes and new fish behavior. If some animals are asleep and can easily be observed, others, such as this lionfish, use the night for hunting. It's interesting to note that the strange anemone clownfish exchanges its daytime gaudy orange dress for a sort of dark brown pajama. It is also at night, or in dark caves, that the fire corals bloom, thus justifying their name. And the crocodile fish, the hallmark of the Red Sea, seems to want to appear and to disappear.